There's a version of pressure that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't yell. It doesn't come with obvious warning signs. It comes wrapped in praise. It comes disguised as love. And by the time you realize it's destroying you, you're already living for an audience that exists only in your head. You know this feeling. Maybe you grew up as the favorite, the smart one, the talented one, the one your parents talked about at dinner parties, the one they bragged about to relatives. And somewhere along the way, being special became being responsible for everyone's pride. Being talented became your job, not your gift. Here's what nobody tells you about being the golden child. It's lonely at the top because the top is built on performance. And performance requires you to never fall, never disappoint, never let anyone see that behind the achievement, you're exhausted. So you don't. You keep pushing, you keep achieving, you collect wins like they're going out of style, waiting for the moment when you finally feel enough. But here's the brutal truth. That moment never comes, because the goalpost never stays still. What starts as encouragement becomes expectation. What becomes expectation becomes identity. And one day you wake up and realize you don't know who you are without the achievement. The script becomes, I am what I accomplish. And if you're not accomplishing, you're not. This creates a psychological loop that's devastatingly quiet. You succeed, which reinforces that your worth is conditional on success. You fail, and the shame is disproportionate, because failure feels like a fundamental threat to your identity. So you work harder, you push further, you ignore the exhaustion, because exhaustion would mean admitting you're human. The pressure cooker of the golden child role creates something insidious, perfectionism, but not the kind people admire, the kind that eats you alive. You set impossible standards. You critique yourself more harshly than anyone else ever could. You find flaws in achievements because you learned early that anything less than perfect is, well, a personal failure. And here's where it gets dangerous. Many golden children develop a secret shame. They feel like frauds, not because they lack talent, but because they know the truth. The constant pressure, the endless optimization, the need to maintain the image, it leaves no room for actual growth. You're too busy managing perception to develop yourself.
The relationships become complicated too. People are drawn to your success, but are they drawn to you? You start wondering if anyone would love you if you weren't impressive. So you keep the walls up, you keep performing. Even in moments meant for intimacy, you're auditing your behavior, checking if you're still being the good one. Then something happens. Maybe you fail publicly. Maybe you have a breakdown. Maybe you simply run out of steam. And suddenly, the structure that held you together crumbles. The golden child, who was supposed to be invincible, realizes they've built their entire identity on a foundation of conditional acceptance. The collapse is often ugly: depression, anxiety, a sudden loss of direction because you've spent so long running toward external validation that you never asked what you actually wanted. Some golden children experience burnout so severe they can't function. Others develop perfectionist paralysis. They can't start anything because it might not be flawless. But here's what matters. The collapse, as painful as it is actually an opportunity. It's the moment when the performance can finally stop. When you can ask yourself, who am I beneath the achievement? What do I actually want? What would I do if no one was watching? Healing for the golden child means slowly, carefully, deliberately separating your worth from your output. It means learning that mistakes don't erase you, that you're allowed to be ordinary, that love doesn't require excellence. And perhaps most radically, it means discovering that the person underneath all that achievement,
they were always enough.